Whoa, he has trouble with the snap, and the ball is free. Okay, next question.
I'm a horse football coach, right?
This is not a drill.
All right, Spartan fans, look, we're just going to cut to the chase here today. Michigan State basketball fucking sucks. So, welcome to the Spartan Savants. This is Nick. This is Travis. This is Winston. We're getting into it.
Yeah, I am mashing the panic button over here. It's shocking how bad that they are, and just every game is almost cookie cutter of the last one. It's, you could put together the script, slow start, down by double digits at half or 9, right around there. Second half, usually a good start, 6 to 8 minutes of great basketball. We get right back in the game, don't score for 5 minutes, down by 10 with 4 minutes left, and then, we just kind of play out the clock. I am really, really concerned about this basketball team. It's not, there's the problems are so multiple. It's shooting, it's rebounding, it's toughness, it's leadership, the coaching. I mean, I don't know what we were doing. I know, Hall was sick most of the week, didn't practice, had the flu, but I don't know what we were doing starting Sissoko and Carter. That's just like an offensive, like you have two minuses on offense basically on the court there. They bring nothing to the table really on offense. The one thing I'll say is we left guys open shooting threes that maybe they didn't expect to make threes in this Wisconsin game, but they were knocking them down. So obviously, game plan issue there. Don't know how great the scouting report was or what we were doing, but 4-4, some tough games coming up. I mean, Baylor's no joke. Oakland always gives us problems. It's gonna be it could be a long year. I don't know. Like I there's part of me that's like hoping like we could squeak into the tournament. That sounds crazy, but there's another part of me that's like, okay, they're gonna figure it out. We'll be a 6 seed, 5 seed, whatever. Obviously, I don't think we're gonna be a 1 seed anymore. Probably not a 2 seed. Probably not a 3 seed. I don't think we're gonna win the Big Ten, based off the game from Tuesday. Like I said, I'm mashing the panic button.
It just seems any team with any single pulse, as you said, Winston, it is the exact same script. Around 8 minutes left, we get it down to 2. And I was texting you guys just yesterday. I have no confidence that we are going to win this game. And you guys are like, yep, it's going to be the classic vanity comeback. And then suddenly, boom, down by however, lost. It just, I went into the season saying that Jaden Akins was going to win Big Ten Player of the Year. And he's not been as good as I would have liked him to be. I've never played competitive basketball in my life, so like I'm not going to shit on him. But like, it's getting to the he just has not been good. I would really like him to be playing better. It just
He has not been good.
like he was kind of in my mind. He's almost like X Factor. Like we know what we have in Tyson. Hogarth's up and down, but Aiken's development really just was kind of what this team needed. I also think that hopefully when Hogarth gets back, he will be a spark plug too. But at this point, it just seems like a classic 16 or Sweet 16 team that was like an 8 seed that by the end of the season, we're like, oh, well, they finally kind of clicked in March. Don't let them get hot. It was a disappointing ending, but we'll really get it next year. Rinse, repeat. It's just the Sweet 16 is the new Final Four for us, it feels like. And one more thing, actually. One more thing that I thought of. I wanted to puke. Actually, I accidentally sent this to some Michigan fans. I was saying that watching this team almost feels like watching U of M basketball. Just so much like arrogance, like they feel like they should be magically good. Like, yeah, no, we're a good team. Like these should be going in. Like it just, I want to puke saying that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I can even follow that. I mean, you're both of you are exactly right. Nick, your point about Aikens being the X factor. We need somebody besides Tyson Walker to actually show up game in and game out and be that second scorer, because we don't have that with Hogard this game, somebody else the other game, and it's usually not enough. And Aikens, our expectations this year of being at the Final Four at worst, where a lot of that was built on Aikens taking a step forward and the potential of the freshman class to come in and kind of supplement that starting lineup. Aikens right now he wouldn't, he couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. And then, the freshmen, you see Fears playing a lot. You see Carr out there, but he's not playing exactly as he was at the beginning over the first couple games, which kind of expected as a freshman. And then Xavier Booker's nowhere to be found. That never put him in the highest. Yeah, I know, exactly. But highest rated recruit that has ever landed. And you go out to that, historically Wisconsin has those bigs that pop out and shoot threes and give us trouble that way. Their bigs this year don't exactly shoot it as well as they usually do, and I think Izzo was kind of accounting for that. But they're still kind of more mobile, athletic kind of guy that gives Cooper and Sissoko both trouble whenever they face them, and that's where Booker has to get the problem, or has to be the solution to the problem. And you saw it.
Here's what we need to do:
trotting those guys out there and putting them in situations that they can't be successful in, or they have proven not to be successful in over their careers.
Here's what we need to do about Sissoko. We need to get the nuclear particle collider that we have and get a spider, put it in there, make it radioactive, and have it bite him so he gets spider powers and he can stick to the ball.
Yeah, he has bricks for hands, and he is such a spaz on the court.
Again,
just freaks out every time the ball's near him.
Like when I was driving home and I heard someone say, I saw a text right before I started driving, obviously, because texting and driving. Yes. And the text said classic Sissoko sequence, and just in my mind, I just saw
you can picture it at this point. Yeah,
I love Matt. He's a great guy, tough guy, but he has a move, and the move is the hot potato. Give me
those guys are getting outworked on the glass too, and the hustle's not there, the toughness isn't there. It's not what we've come accustomed to watch at Spartan basketball.
Yeah,
at this point, I'll just take getting into the tournament, whatever.
Yeah, you gotta cross the fingers that this is just the classic Izzo team that just takes a while to find their groove. And I know I hate that as much as you guys do, but that's the best we can hope for at this point. It's a big ball of bad right now. Yeah. And I thought Izzo had some interesting comments. Like, he always kind of does the thing where he tries to take the blame. He doesn't. Yeah. I commend him for that, and I do think that there's some blame to go up for him as well. I'm not going to tell Superman how to coach, but I thought he had some interesting comments about being tougher on the players, and said something about forget about the lawyers or something. I don't know what that was alluding to, but thought that was interesting. It's just they've got to figure something out, and it's not one thing, right? It's the lineup, the rotations. The team's attitude overall. I don't know if it's a confidence issue, but they just, I always get mad that the body language is terrible at times. It's good for 6 minutes, and then it's bad again, and then goes from bad to worse. And the whole thing with Booker, I don't even know if it's a doghouse thing. I just think he might have just not been properly rated. I don't know that he was a true 5-star recruit. It's obvious that you could tell by looking at him, he's got to get stronger and put on some weight.
Yeah.
So I don't even think it's a doghouse thing. I just don't think he's good enough to be playing right now. It's just, he's got a long way to go.
Yeah. That could obviously, that could be it. They even talk about him as being a project on the broadcast, and you usually don't see a 5-star top 10, 3, whatever he ended up being,
Right.
end up having to start his career that way.
Yeah, it's been disappointing to say the least.
Extremely, very, it's a roller coaster sometimes. Sports can be.
I'm done. I can't do it anymore. I mean, we've between basically 10 really bad years between the Tigers, Pistons, and Red Wings. The Lions have been bad for 30 years. They're finally okay, it seems. They've got issues. We could do a whole Lions podcast on their issues, but they're having a good year. And then Michigan State basketball and football just absolutely sucking. Like, when do I get to be happy as a sports fan? I haven't been a happy sports fan. Okay, 2021, Michigan State was great, but I haven't been happy since like 2010, 2012. Like it,
I mean, 2013, 14,
yeah,
15.
obviously, yeah, I'm looking at a bigger picture with all the Detroit sports teams, but like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, Michigan State, obviously, we've had some good years, but like, usually when the football team is bad, the basketball team picks us up. But
yeah,
this is it just sucks right now, man. I'm so bummed. Like, I feel like Nicky last week. Like, I can still hear his words. Like, when he just popped up and said, "I'm just extremely down on this team." It sounded like it was like I could tell you really meant it, because the inflection in your voice, you were so bummed, like you were almost at a loss for words. And that's how I feel now. Like, I'm just so beside myself and bummed out about this team. I'm just like, I have nothing good to say about any of them, and I'm sure they're all good people. I love Tom Izzo, but I'm so mad at all of them right now.
I'm so mad. I'm
so
mad.
100% agree. Yeah.
like,
what the hell?
Akins, I don't know you. I love you. I'm mad at you.
Yeah. This is not what you're supposed to
help
do.
Me.
Yeah, like, when do we get some excitement and like happiness? Like, I feel like, oh, we got a new football coach and everything was good, and then this basketball team just shits on our plate. It's like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah. What the hell? Shit Sunday. Yeah.
Like, come on.
Come on.
The games for
Can
us.
we just win a Big Ten game at home? Come on. For the boys,
And
a little something for the effort.
Like, and from the first 3 weeks of January, we're gonna just dominate, go like 7-1, and then we're gonna just go on a 3-4 game losing streak.
Yeah.
And just, we've seen this movie. It just, I want the happy ending.
I want a different version of this movie. Can I choose my own adventure?
Happy ending,
yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
Seriously. For the
love of God. Main menu, please.
Yeah. Come on.
Like the whole adversity thing. Yeah. Builds character. Can we get to like the good part of that? Like,
yeah, it really.
Can we get to the spoils part of that?
Our character building was 26 years ago.
Now. It sucks, man. I work hard all week. I get once or twice a week to watch the Michigan State basketball team. I come home from work. I usually stop somewhere, get something nice for dinner, or something I wouldn't normally get on a normal night, or make myself something nice, sit down, get ready to watch some Spartans basketball, and then they just suck. And it's like my whole life sucks again. Like, I was pissed off at work, came home, tried to get in a better mood, turn on some basketball, and then I'm pissed off instantly. Like, why can't I just be happy for 10 minutes in life? Like, why can't Michigan State just provide some happiness instead of adding to my everyday misery?
Yeah, you're explaining the first 15 years of my life. Except for that national championship, which I'm too young to remember. But,
yeah. I mean, we're good people.
We got to focus on hockey now. Apparently,
we deserve this. We deserve good things. Yeah, we're a hockey school, I guess.
Yeah, great.
You can find those games on TV half the time.
Big Ten Network, BTN Plus,
10.
yeah.
BTN Plus. Renew my subscription.
Friday night at Mun Ice Arena, baby.
Respect to the hockey team. I'm just on
yes,
hockey.
Of course. Yes.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's really cool. They're good. I'm just not a hockey guy.
Well, it's also the broadcasts are way less, way worse.
Oh man. I feel like a weight just slipped off my shoulders getting that out. I didn't want to talk about MSU basketball. I knew we had to address it, But I knew we had to get a little something out. Do you guys want to move on to some recruiting, some things that are kind of fun?
I'll try.
All right.
Try to get this
I
basketball
got no way
stink
to
off
follow
me
that.
first.
So
I guess we got to talk about something positive.
yeah. Let's so there's the top 24/7 quarterback. We all know. Seems like please, please. Seems like people are saying it's a lock. Like every possible national, local, whatever, planetary person is saying that Aidan Chiles is going to Michigan State. He's visiting this weekend. Even Chiles himself says, "Oh, I haven't really been paying attention to the other schools." So that's some good news. Thoughts, Travis?
Yeah. Like I told you guys off the air, I don't want to like say it's a certainty or anything because we all know as soon as I say that, it's going to go the opposite direction. So we get him, great, fantastic player. Sandy was comparing him to Terrell Pryor on this morning's SD Farrell show. That's the exact kind of quarterback that we need to inject some life into this offense. I feel like.
Yeah,
Do you-
I agree. Go ahead, Nick.
One quick thing. Do you know what we should do? We should call Mikey up and get him on here to talk about basketball right now.
We're gonna go back to basketball.
Yeah. We're already so deep into Childs.
Okay, you're right. I'm just saying.
I mean, he's always welcome, of course.
Right. All right. Let's go back to Childs. I'll get back to this.
Okay. One thing that's making me comfortable with, if it was all like MSU people saying that he was coming, I would obviously take that with a little bit of a grain of salt. I'd still obviously be very excited and everything, but I think the national media or the national people who cover recruiting also saying it's a sure thing is giving me a good sense of comfort. I'm with you both. I do not want to jinx it. We've had stuff in the past with that's I go back to Luke Fickle or other recruits that we've been close on that just we end up missing on or something happens. Gotta hope that someone doesn't come in with some crazy NIL package and take him away. But I think you're absolutely right, Trav. I think we haven't really had a quarterback that's dynamic like Childs, at least in my time as a Spartans fan. I mean, I go back to like Drew Stanton, he was pretty good. Obviously
Probably
Connor
the
Cook was
closest.
great.
Yeah.
We've had good quarterbacks, but they haven't been that dynamic player that can really run, throw, and is a threat in every aspect offensively. Going back to he didn't play a ton at Oregon State, but they seemed to get him in enough, I think he played a drive or two every game or a half every game. So I think he's got enough experience there. Obviously, there's not a ton of tape. I'll say when I watch that Oregon State offense, I get so excited about Jonathan Smith and what he's bringing to Michigan State. It's not exactly an offense that I would think Aidan Chiles is the exact fit for. It's a lot of under center and smash mouth. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of work him in, with his running ability there. Obviously, they recruited him for a reason. They think he's a fit offensively. So I assume that there will be some wrinkles to get him involved in the run game. But man, I'm so excited. There's a lot of good quarterbacks in the transfer portal, and obviously Childs is highly ranked. It was very exciting. But if God forbid if the bottom falls out and we lose out on Childs, I think there will be other choices. Definitely some intriguing names out there, but all signs seem to be pointing to Childs to MSU. And that's just I will not get too excited until it's official, just because of all the bad things that I've been handed this season, that we've all been handed this season. It would not surprise me one bit if he ends up committing to Washington.
I mean, I could see. Oh, Michigan State. That's the Wolverines, right? That's where I wanted to go.
I thought I was going to Ann Arbor. You guys
Yeah.
don't wear blue and yellow.
I
What
hate
the
when
heck?
people do
This
that.
stadium is not as big as I thought it was.
Which, by the way, that is way too common of a mistake among fans.
Michigan State.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get people all the times like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you went to Michigan State? Is that Wolverines or Spartans?" It's
Yep,
Spartans.
Yep.
God damn it!
Yep.
Or when
Straight,
someone
like,
will be like, yeah, when someone asks like, "Oh, so like, do you root for Michigan State in basketball and Michigan in football?" I'm like, "I went to
Hey,
Michigan
no.
State." Like,
Wait, what?
what?
Who does that?
Cuckoo.
really.
Uh,
Yeah, no.
one thing that Childs does bring though, just is if you have a great QB like that, more talent is going to want to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
probably get
absolutely.
bigger names. I mean, he's getting a ton of like public media, like national love too. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
It'd be a huge building block for the staff.
no
it's
kidding.
also
Yeah.
it's also funny that that it feels like Mel was like known as the recruiter, and it's getting a chance that in like his third week, Smith's gonna bring in like the highest recruit we've had in like
He's
10
running
years.
circles.
Yeah.
He's running circles around them.
Yeah,
It's awesome to see.
I also
yeah,
think it might be a testament to like maybe kind of the structure Mel helped set up, like in recruiting. Like I don't know.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're seeing
Think
even the
about it.
guys that we had hit the transfer portal get our 5 offers now, when the guys that were leaving when he first got here were like Mac offers and shit like that. So he did improve that a little bit.
yeah. Oh yeah. I just get it done. I'm tired of waiting. I know that these things take time, but you know, once he commits, even after he commits, I'm still going to be nervous because like
Yeah.
it's not like pro sports or even like college football recruiting out of high school. You don't like sign when you're transferring, you don't sign like a letter of intent or a contract or anything. So
Yeah,
even when he says I'm coming to MSU, there's going to be schools that are calling him still every day, probably
Yeah.
trying to figure it out. So like we need to get him committed and enrolled and in the building, ready to go. And then I'll be happy and comfortable.
We're get him in the building in January.
I mean, in my mind, like that's the great thing about a new coach too, is that like it's just infinite, like infinite hopes and dreams. Like in my mind, I was saying earlier today, Aidan Chiles will make like us never think about Kenneth Walker again as a transfer. Like like that's the kind of player that like in my head Chiles is like Heisman the next 2 years, 1 overall pick, like greatest QB of all time. Like makes Cam Newton look like Peyton Thorne.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, anything else on Childs?
No, I mean, I think it's great. There's, I think, and Nick, you might mention this, like when you get a player that of that talent level, it obviously one good for the program. Having talented players, that's the obvious, you know, good thing. But that also just creates national awareness and draws eyes and other talented guys to come as well, whether that's recruit or other transfers. And then, just it adds energy to the recruiting, the whole recruiting process and, gets you some credibility, adds a lot more energy to the whole program. So, this would be a big win for Jonathan Smith early on. Obviously I think he's doing a great job regardless of this, but this would really be a great way for him to kick things off and cement himself as, I'm here, I'm the coach, we're going to do this thing. And, I think if he is everything we think he is, I think that changes the outlook immediately for 2024. Obviously, the offensive line is the next part they're going to need to address and who he's going to throw the ball to. But I have faith that will come together. And if it does, they can get some competent offensive linemen, maybe get some of the guys back that have entered the portal. What could be 5-7 could easily turn into 8-4, 7-5. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I do think a talented quarterback like this changes the outlook of 2024 immediately.
Yep. 100% agree.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, maybe 10 wins. Isn't that crazy?
Don't start again.
We sneak into the top 12.
Just put us in the playoffs now.
Yeah, I mean,
You said that 3 months ago, so be careful.
we said that about basketball too.
I think the key moving forward is just either super low expectations or no expectations
I think
with all
week by
MSU
week.
teams.
Week
Yes,
by week.
week by week,
No
game by
expectations,
game.
Yeah.
Remember 2021, we thought we were going to suck. We went 11-2.
Yeah,
That we
I
just need to
remember.
get that back.
I remember we even said like, let's just take it game by game. Like I just want to win this game today.
Yes.
And it just kept. We won that game. We won that game. We won that game. We won that game.
Yeah.
We lost to Purdue.
Well, yeah, and I was gonna say that
We got just by Ohio State.
That's Raven.
I was gonna say that did not work out that well. That in both games, I mean, there were some pretty sad face. There's some pretty sad faces at the Loon by halftime. Both those games.
Yeah, yeah. I left after the first quarter. That. Oh God, You don't have to get back into that. Like. Yeah, I mean those were the Mel Tucker scripts, just how we were talking about the past 4-year MSU basketball scripts. Just I want the better script. We need
please.
Yeah. I think Chiles is a great protagonist.
Yeah.
This upcoming script.
Seems
And
like
Jonathan Smith is a great author.
I like it, Nikki.
That's a good way to put it.
And
Yeah.
let's talk about the editor, the future defensive coordinator of Michigan State.
Yeah.
So it seems it is down to 2 people. It sounds like Parker's pretty much out, going back to Iowa. And the other 2 names are Rossi from Minnesota and Jimmy Lake. But like it's obviously not going to be Jimmy Lake, so it's going to be Rossi, we believe. At least I believe. Minnesota's defensive coordinator. What are your guys' thoughts? And if you have any other names you want to say, any other thoughts on anything, let me know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any other names to throw out there. I think those are the 2 that are left. I feel like we would have heard something if it was Lake by now. Honestly, I feel like we should have heard something either way, but Lake's kind of a little more complicated situation to get out of, especially with the Rams trying for that wild card spot right now. They were saying he makes $1.5 million a year over there. So I mean, our assistant pool is pretty big, but I mean that's a lot to compete with for an assistant coach. So with Rossi, I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I know a lot about him. Virtually unknown guy. I saw they had that article from The Athletic about him. I told you guys this earlier, where Parker or Lake would be like A+ hires. To me, he's more like Rossi would be like a B+ with the potential to move up to an A type of deal. I mean, when you think of the schools that have those dominating defenses, the vaunted units and everything like that, if you think like Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, you don't think Minnesota, and he built top 5 defenses in multiple years at Minnesota. So obviously the guy knows how to coach ball.
Mm-hmm.
He's developed some NFL guys into the league, into first round picks. So I mean, I don't know a lot about him, but the track record doesn't say that. The track record says that he knows what he's doing.
He's beaten us the past 2 years.
Why the hell not? Yeah. Oh yeah, easily too.
So,
and what have we scored? Like, I don't know, 7 points the last 2 years against them. Feels like.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's like
it all blends together
on
at this
him
point.
or bad on us. Probably somewhere in the middle.
It all blends together at this point. So
yeah.
Yeah, I think Trev, I spot on. Like Lake, Parker would be A+ hires. I think with Rossi, it would a little bit, just because those names were, leaked, or those names were tied to this job. It's gonna feel like maybe we got our second or third choice with Rossi. But I think to your point, obviously, the track record in the past couple of years at Minnesota looks to be positive. I mean, top 10, top 5 defenses, whatever they were, there's nothing to scoff at. I think it probably would help. It helps them that they were playing Nebraska, Northwestern, Iowa,
Michigan
the Big
State,
Ten West teams.
Definitely. Yeah.
But can't ignore the track record. Obviously, he's at age 44, so he's kind of fits that young mold, what you want for a guy that's looking to take the next step in his career. Especially from the recruiting side of things too. I think that it's easier for younger guys to have that energy and want to recruit. I don't know much about him as a recruiter. I do know that he's obviously coached at Minnesota the past few years. He was at Rutgers before that. And he was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So he's got Midwest ties, which I feel like gets talked about a lot over the past couple of weeks. Nikki, are you trying to say something?
Breaking news. We have a new offer and a new crystal ball for a class of 2024 commit at quarterback.
Oh.
He is Ball State hard commit. Sounds like he's going to probably visit this over next weekend, and sounds like he might go here. Aliso Milivojek from Wheaton, Illinois, 3-star, class of 24.
I know nothing about this guy, but this already sounds a lot like Noah Kim.
I've never heard the name.
Yeah.
Ball State.
The staff is saying on 24/7, wow, now I know these coaches know ball. This kid is really good. Had a strong senior season and is lined for a hefty rankings boost when they are updated.
Okay.
And then a guy from Rivals said, good to see Michigan State is doing real evals. Spartan fans, this alone makes me believe you are in good hands. And I think this is Clint, the CEO of Rivals.
Okay.
Clint
I'll take that. Yeah.
I will take that.
We need bodies in that room.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, we cannot. We really cannot be asking for toast in a bread line right now.
We have zero in person.
Yeah. That is interesting. That makes me think Hasselbeck is probably not going to
I didn't think he was
this
coming
point.
back anyway. Yeah.
I thought out of the 4, if we throw Hasselbeck in with Hauser, Kim, and Levitt, that Hasselbeck was the most had the best chance of recommitting. That's interesting. Anyways, am I good to continue on my defensive coordinator thoughts? Okay. So yeah, Rossi, I mean, Midwest guy, the Midwest ties thing I feel like has been beaten to a pulp at this point, but I'm not going to ignore it. I think it's a good thing. Parker, from what I've gathered, it sounds like we may have kicked the tires. I just think he is an Iowa lifer as long as Ferentz is there. I think the only shot we had is if Ferentz were to retire. Doesn't sound like that's going to happen. Even with him being a Michigan State grad, I think he's turned down bigger jobs before, like Alabama.
Yeah.
I think Michigan too.
Yes.
So, that it obviously would have been great. I always do get a little nervous about a 60-year-old guy on the recruiting trail. Doesn't seem to be having any issues at Iowa though. So, that would have been great. Jimmy Lake, I get the whole thing with him still being with the Rams, and that probably would go until January. What I don't know is he's not a coordinator for them. He's an assistant head coach. I don't know for sure how busy that job is. You're not a coordinator, so you're not exactly, putting together the game plans. But I don't know. Assistant head coach may be different for every team. I have no idea what his day-to-day looks like. But from what Comp was saying, it's not the end of the world if we don't get him locked until January. He could still be, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, still making calls on to recruits and being involved in anything like that with Michigan State while he's working for the Rams. I don't know much about him other than, where he's been and what he does now. We were talking a little bit before we started recording. I totally forgot about the issues at Washington where he was shoving a player. I think he was suspended for a game or two without pay, which we've had some issues with that with our coaches lately. But I don't think it didn't stop him from getting other jobs after that. I think it sounded like there were some other off the field issues. That Washington team wasn't very good, but like you said, Trev, it wasn't necessarily defense related. So I think that's a really intriguing name. Like you said, Trev, $1.5 million with the Rams. So Michigan State's going to have to pay him, obviously. But interesting name. I think the defensive coordinator, it's going to be obviously so hard until we get them in and see the team on the field and see how they do recruiting. But just please find a way to hire someone who knows how to defend the pass, for God's sakes, please. And again, it's not like that defensive side of the ball is totally barren. I mean, the defensive backs had a solid year. Linebackers need there's going to need to be some serious addressing there. And then defensive line, we'll see what happens. If we get some guys back, it's a totally different story, but they're obviously lost some talent there as well. But it feels like from the names I've heard, I'm not like turned off by any of them. I was hoping that this would be done sooner than it is. I really thought we would have this locked up by now, but it is what it is. I think that you got to get something locked in sooner rather than later because the recruiting is important. And some of the names on the defensive side of the ball that did enter the portal, if there's any chance of getting them back, we got to have a guy lined up that's going to coach them. So, I hope, fingers crossed, if you tell me that, Rossi can get the job done and would get him earlier than having to wait, I'd say take that deal right now. But if Lake really is a huge upgrade over Rossi and we have to wait a little bit to lock it in, then I'd say wait. But from everything I can tell, I don't know if there is really that big of a difference between the two, to Rossi and Lake. But bummer about Parker, but my hopes weren't too high there. But we'll see.
Yeah. And just to add on, we've mentioned before even the head coaching hire was made, the coordinator hires are going to be specifically important with this staff based on just what we've seen the past couple of years. We need somebody that's going to bring some kind of life in. I think any of those guys would fit that bill nicely.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of what we've been what we've been rumored to be looking at in the transfer portal, like the list of the guys that we've offered. There's not, with those coaches, it's like, well, there's not one of these guys that I would totally hate having out here.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. And I am just so what's the word I'm looking for? Like I've been burned by the coordinators we've gotten in the past, and I feel like we got excited about Hazelton. I don't know if we ever really got excited about Jay Johnson, but it was so glaring over the past couple of years that how important the coordinators are that I really, because I've been burned, I'm holding back excitement on these coordinators. But you have to make sure we hire the right coordinators. It's so imperative to me, just based off all the shit we've dealt with with coordinators, from Warner to Salem to Jay Johnson and the drop off from Narduzzi down the list, and then with Hazelton over the past couple of years in the Mel Tucker days. I just cannot deal with bad coordinators anymore. It's killing us. So hopefully, we can get that figured out. Sounds like we're looking at the right people. One thing I thought was interesting when they released the names of the coaches that are officially signed on, obviously it was a lot of offensive coaches. Interesting to see Courtney Hawkins left off the list. I'm wondering where that stands, because everything I was hearing was that he was probably going to be back. So I'm very curious to see how that plays out and if we can keep him, because I think he's a good one. I'm sure he'll have other offers, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds. I've heard rumors there are other offers potentially that he's kind of weighing.
Probably right. Yeah.
That blows.
Yeah.
I mean,
they didn't name a receivers coach, period, though, right?
That's what I'm saying. But it was interesting. Obviously, it's not locked in, because if it was, they would have named him, I think. But you don't want to lose a guy like that played at Michigan State, knows the program, knows the recruiting area, especially on the staff. I feel like I know that's been beaten to a death, but I feel like that's so important to the staff, is just some kind of continuity and carryover, and obviously someone that knows the recruiting landscape well and played in the NFL. I mean, I don't know what else we would be looking for for a wide receivers coach, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, he helps put Jaden Reed, gonna help put Keon, Jalen Naylor all in the
Yeah,
NFL.
yeah, yeah. And we've recruited good receivers. Like I feel like our receivers are talented. I didn't show this year. We didn't really have a guy like we've had in the past, like Reed or Coleman, but it wasn't a bad group, I thought either. I mean, there wasn't anyone really explosive, but I thought they held their own for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So you guys got any other thoughts on the DC? Sounds like the consensus is Rossi would be a B plus higher
Yeah,
at the
that's
moment.
it.
So should we start going into some maybe would you want to do the QP guessing game or some other portal offers that we're doing? I feel like portal offers isn't that interesting.
Yeah, I feel like I've not I've been so focused on Chiles. I don't really know where else we stand on some other guys. I know that it seems like a lot of Oregon State players, not a lot, but a few have been entering the portal, and I'm curious to see if those will come over to us similar to Chiles. Like they just had one entry yesterday or the day before, like a true freshman corner that started a few games that people speaking pretty highly of. I would never say no to more defensive talent. No, talent in general, I would never say no to. So, I know we're all right on in that aspect. Probably the defensive back is our secondary is probably our strongest position group right now, which is crazy to say. But never say no to talent. But I don't know where we stand on some of the other guys. They're going to need some offensive linemen at some point, which is harder to get through the portal. Everyone tells me. So that's going to be tough.
Deep. It's just not deep in the portal at O-line. One O-line guy I'd like to see us go after would be I always get his name. It's Jason Biz. No,
Bisantis.
Yeah, thank you.
He was committed to state, I think, at one point, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's from one of the powerhouse schools in New Jersey, and State was one of his, I don't know, top 3 or 4 at least. When he committed, and
already eliminated
too.
us.
What?
I think he has already eliminated us. I think he's getting bags.
I mean, I would assume he is, but I'm just saying that would be a nice one to go after.
Yeah.
The offensive line is
we need it. Yeah.
Important. I feel like it gets overlooked by fans, but
yeah. Then Oregon State had 2 brothers on the defensive side of the ball going to the portal yesterday too.
Nice. Yeah.
One of them I think was their leading tackler, middle linebacker. So
yeah, gotta hope that we can get some of those guys.
Yeah, I know we're chasing the freshman Rustin Young. I think there might be an O-line or two, an O-lineman and an offensive tackle who's going from Oregon State. The rumor, the gossip, as they call it, the tea, as Gen Z calls it. Is that kind of like once Chiles commits, that might be kind of a domino effect.
I hope so.
The guys. And honestly, we've had some talented, decent guys playing on the O-line. I think we'll get a couple guys back, and maybe a good coach that isn't a used car salesman will actually get a good. I'm talking about Cap.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
I can't believe Spencer Brown is going to Oklahoma. I didn't.
What did
think
they think they're
good.
Could be a depth guy. Who knows?
Yeah, could be.
That tells you what the portal looks like at offensive line. Honestly.
True. Yeah, it's fair. Yeah.
We got to think too. There'll be some other guys after bowl games too that'll enter. So
Yeah.
Yep. It was good to see Snow come back too.
Yeah, agreed. I always liked Darius Snow. I think he's a good leader.
That's one I was wondering if that was going to be a domino effect on the guys coming back, but it's kind of hard when there's no coordinator on that side of the ball.
Yeah. Still silence on Jordan Hall too.
And Diapape.
I mean, as long as he hasn't left,
Yeah. Interesting to see. It's going to be a long winter.
Yeah. Yep. Hopefully, the Childs Nick Marsh connection, because Nick Marsh, even though Hawkins is gone, seems like he's extremely locked in.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Yeah, we only have like 8 freshman recruits now.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not great.
I think the guy from North Texas is
Macklin,
yeah, he
Yeah.
follows Chiles and he's favored at Michigan State from what I've seen.
he's really good.
Nice.
Go to
I
his
like
house
that.
in Texas.
You play North Texas. That's the guy you were concentrating on stopping. Them and
Yeah.
their 3-headed monster at running back.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3-headed
Yeah.
monster. That's what I call my gents.
All right, what are we on to now? We got
All right.
portal QB predictions.
Yeah, let's do a QB portal.
So
All right. So I've got my list. I don't know. I think I've got the top names for the most part. I don't know, Nick, if you have another list or
One sec. Yeah, let's start the carousel. So you can start, Willie. Give me some let's start with Riley Leonard. Sounds
Yep.
like that's pretty much guaranteed. Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
yeah, is that like, I don't know if official, but it seems like unofficially official.
It's like
It's as close to official as you can get without.
It's
like,
Chiles.
being official.
Okay. Good fit for him. I don't know, coming off an injury, but had a good year at Duke. I think
just go to college in North Carolina, be be a QB for Duke.
Yeah.
That seems
interesting that Notre Dame going back to the portal for a second year in a row on quarterback. Interesting to see like why they can't get their own or develop one of their own. But whatever works for them. Yeah. Yeah. The next name I have on my list is Dylan Gabriel, which a lot of smoke to Oregon, it seems like.
That's where I'm leaning on that one. Yeah.
I really surprised by that a little, not totally surprised, but a bit surprised. I thought USC would be a really good fit for him. Obviously with the Lincoln Riley Oklahoma connection, I thought that might be where he would go. Maybe just that might be just oversimplifying it, but I think that offense and his game would fit really, really well together. Kind of similar, kind of the same kind of mold, not to quite the same level as Caleb
Williams.
Caleb Williams. But sounds like Oregon for sure on that one too. All signs, at least from what I can see.
I see one now. I'm on the On3 website. First of all, on On3, Sam Leavitt is ranked above Chiles, so get that out.
Okay.
Their
rankings are weird.
It seems DJ Ungalale, the Jonathan Smith's other disciple, it looks like he's crystal ball to Louisville.
Really?
That doesn't make any sense because they just got a different Texas Tech starting quarterback committed there.
Yeah, that's
last week.
How old is that crystal ball?
I don't know.
I remember they talked about him being They talked about him being interested there, but as soon as they signed Tyler Shuck, I figured that was over.
DJU, such an interesting career path. Like obviously was a big recruit at Clemson. Looked like he was going to be the real deal. I mean, he had it all. Like you just looked at him and you're like, oh, that guy looks like he's going to be a good quarterback. Really struggled there. Then obviously got to Oregon State with Jonathan Smith and had a much better year. Still, his completion percentage was like below 60%, which I know he was like a top 12 QBR rating. So, I know completion percentage is not everything, but it's still like 56.5. I feel like he needs to go somewhere with a good coach. And I think Florida State would be a good fit. They have a pretty good track record with Jordan Travis. I also thought maybe USC for him would be a pretty good fit. But I don't know. It's interesting to see. Going to be interesting to see where he goes. I don't know. Can he carry it over, or was Jonathan Smith the whisper? That'll be very interesting to see. But I've always kind of just felt like he's just been underwhelming as a football player since his days at Clemson.
Yeah, he was a highly recruited guy, burst onto the scene, and people even had him as like the first overall pick in the NFL draft at one point.
Yeah.
Not looking like that anymore. I still have him. I have him going to Florida State, just based off of the schools that were interested that they've reported talking to or whatever, and what they've done so far in the portal, kind of pointing that direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I have this list up. I'll just read the names, and then we can do kind of a carousel. What do you think? So
That's a
Yeah.
good one.
Will Howard.
Will Howard, is that what you said?
Yeah, Kansas State. So old
Yeah,
QB.
yeah, USC.
What do you think, Willie? USC?
Uh, yeah, I mean, it seems like there's some smoke to USC.
There was a
Yeah.
lot a couple days ago about him to USC.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, Florida State's another. I could see him going there too. Obviously not if DJU does, but I think that would be another interesting fit.
I thought I saw Mississippi State, but maybe I'm confusing him with someone
No,
else.
I think they might have reached out to, but
Oh, you know what? I'm thinking of
they'll-
Will Rogers.
somebody.
Current.
Oh yeah, calling from Mississippi State.
Yeah, Will Rogers. Yeah.
USC.
Seems-
What do you guys think? What
Yeah.
about Ward?
Cam Ward.
I think Ohio State.
Yeah, that's where I was about to go.
I saw something recently saying that like Ohio State, like he hasn't visited or doesn't have a visit planned yet.
Yeah,
And I think he has like 2 other visits planned somewhere else. So
he's visiting Miami. I know that.
yeah, so I think that's what it is.
But
He's visiting Miami
I-
and maybe Florida State, but he hasn't done Ohio State yet. So
Yeah, I feel like Ohio State makes more sense, makes the most sense for him, honestly.
fair.
Yeah. Interesting name. I have admittedly not watched a ton of him, but from what I know and what I have seen, very electric type talent, but a roller coaster of a watch. Like
Yep.
definitely can
Miles White.
win you a game, but can also lose you a game with turnovers very quickly. Ohio State, Ryan Day seems like a good fit, but I don't know. I just kind of feel like if they're trying to get back to where they were, I would want someone a little more reliable. But that's kind of also been, I mean, Justin Fields. You look at even further backs, their best quarterbacks like Terrell Pryor, Braxton Miller were those type of players too. Very, very electric, dual threat type guys. So I think it'd be a good fit.
I mean, it's kind of on their coaching staff to reel them in too.
Yep. Yeah.
Kind of coach them out of those mistakes.
All right.
Definitely.
Speaking of Ohio State, Kyle McCord.
I know he met with Nebraska, and that's all I've heard on him. So I'm going to go Nebraska.
Really?
I'm gonna go Miami there.
I was thinking
Yeah,
I was thinking Miami as well. I think I saw that.
I did not see that yet. So
Yeah, I'm trying to like make predictions based off my own guesses, but I'm also like have stuck in my head what I saw on three's predictions. So like
Yeah,
some of these
same.
guys, I'm like, I've only seen smoke to this one school, so
I'm-
I don't really know.
I'm just going off like, my own stuff and whatever reports I've seen, not necessarily predictions, but like who's interested.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Here's one for you guys. Tyler Van Dyke. I didn't realize he had any eligibility, to be honest.
Yeah, I feel like he's like a low tier SEC kind of guy, like not Vanderbilt, but like a
Mississippi
maybe
State.
not low tier, but yeah, exactly Mississippi State, South Carolina, Auburn type of deal, like right in the middle there. Yeah,
South Carolina, that sounds very Van Dyke-esque.
Yeah, I think Trev's spot on. I could see Mississippi State like that, not lower SEC,
Yeah,
but
they're-
like next that
they're
middle
like
tier.
the low mid tier, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, here's one from Travis Nye's backyard. Chandler Rogers from North Texas. I don't know if it's any
Yeah,
smoke.
dude, that's a tough one.
Yeah,
I mean, he had a really good year. He started the year on the bench. He took over after 2 or 3 games. Dual threat guy. I don't even know who he would have heard of. He's already transferred multiple times, I think.
Yeah, a couple of these guys have like Gabriel
Yeah.
also transferred from
Yeah.
Central Florida. Yeah, I don't know much about this guy. I'll be honest with you.
I don't know who he would have heard from by now. I haven't heard anything.
North
on that.
Texas,
Yeah,
dual threat.
he is absolutely dual threat.
Yeah, I could see like a UCF or like
That's a good one,
maybe like
actually.
Cincinnati, like one of those new Big 12
Yeah.
schools.
I think Cincinnati just got Brandon Sorsby though.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, the Indiana guy.
Interesting.
I actually
All right.
like that UCF prediction on that. That's a good one.
Actually, it looks like Grayson McCall has been crystal ball to UCF from what I
Yeah, I
can.
was just gonna say, I
I
forgot
saw
about
that
him
one
too.
too. I also saw something about him in NC State too. So I don't know.
Huh.
Which,
Max Johnson committed to UNC.
yep, that was
Dang.
quick after Jimbo got fired.
Oh, hey, I don't remember that. Oh, and Will Rogers.
He is
I mean,
transferring from Mississippi State, correct?
Yes.
I feel like they've said it's almost a done deal that he's going to Washington.
Yeah, I
Huh.
saw it too.
Yeah.
Washington is
Yeah.
I forgot they're gonna need a quarterback.
Yeah. All right. And in our own backyard, we have two in our own backyard, really. First off, let's do Daquan Finn, the Toledo guy, back player of the year.
Wisconsin.
Interesting.
Ooh, Vissy.
Feels
I was
like
thinking a Big Ten team. My mind initially went right to Ohio State, but I think that they'll aim a little higher. I could see Wisconsin's a very interesting name. Nebraska will be my
Yeah,
guess.
I could see that too.
Okay. What about the other one, Dante Moore?
Oh, I don't even want to say it.
Yeah, I mean this one
It really has it all written all over
I-
it, doesn't it?
It really
I wrote-
does.
I wrote down Miami just so I didn't have to say it.
You know what? Honestly,
But
Moore versus Styles, I kind of
know
love
where
that.
this is going.
I like it. Yeah, I mean, I think where everyone knows where we're going. It sounds like there's some smoke to Michigan. When he initially announced, I thought Oregon for sure. He's going to go back to where he was. You know, they're coming off a great year. He was very unimpressive at USC, and I know he's a true freshman or UCLA. I know he's a true freshman, and that's not always easy. And Chip Kelly's kind of on the back nine of his coaching career. I initially thought that would be a great fit coaching wise. The guy is obviously mega talented. It just sucks that he's probably going to go to Michigan, and it's going to suck because they're going to do the whole thing where, like, remember when you guys thought you were going to get him and this whole thing. But to Nick's point, I do love the idea of a Chili's Dante Moore, going head to head Saturday in the fall. I love it. I think that could be a great storyline for the rivalry. I'm not hoping he goes to Michigan, but if he does,
bring it on, baby.
Yep. I hope it's the UCLA version.
And all right.
I did. Well, I was gonna say I did see something this afternoon that said Moore's taking a visit to Oregon.
Okay.
So maybe
interesting.
Maybe there's still some smoke over there.
And all right, another quick one here. Do you guys have any other names? Because I have three more that I'm going to say, and I think you know who they're going to be. So before that, do you have any other names I missed?
I'm checking my list now. You got all of mine.
I feel like you're gonna say all of mine, so I'll just go with it. Yeah.
So let's start out. Sam, leave it.
So I think today it was on Twitter that he had heard from, and I forget what website it was too, but he had heard from BYU, Utah, Washington State, and Oregon State. I believe his high school decision was down to us in Washington State.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna kind of low hanging fruit here, say that he backpedals and goes where he would have where else he would have gone before Washington State.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Nebraska here. I know I already picked that for Quinn, but I think I'll be between one of these two. I think I'll get one of these right. I think and I'm going off Graham Couch said on his podcast. He said didn't have enough information to report it as fact, but that's what he was hearing was that Leave It would be at Nebraska. Really interesting. I mean, obviously I don't think they offered him out of college, so it kind of goes back to what he said about John Smith. But I wish him the best. I initially thought when he announced he would go back to one of those West Coast schools. I think Utah was brought up, or Washington State. That was kind of my initial thought. But just based on what I've heard, I'm going to go with Nebraska.
Also,
Um,
Matt Rule, when Levitt was getting recruited, was coaching the Panthers. So that's a
True.
interesting. I
Yeah.
mean, that easy reason why they wouldn't have recruited him before.
That is
Yeah.
true.
so what I'm gonna say, just for fun, I was gonna say Utah, because I've heard they were kind of tampering with him. Still think that could be the case, but it would be pretty funny if he went to Oregon State.
That would
Yeah,
be
that
funny.
would be
Sweet
really funny.
spike show.
Yeah, that would
I would
be
want us. I
hilarious.
would want us to schedule them if he did that.
Yeah,
would-
agreed.
So,
That would be on par with the Chiles Moore type of thing.
yeah. All right. Next up, let's do Caton Hauser.
This is an interesting one. I haven't heard a lot.
That's
Never mind.
exactly what I was going to say. I haven't heard anything. I mean, Arizona State needs a quarterback. It's West Coast, sure.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. I got nothing to go off of.
What do you think, Wells?
I'm so torn on him because I don't know. I don't know if coaches are going to look at him at this is the guy that was a 4-star recruit, number 12 quarterback in the country, or if they're going to look at the Michigan State tape. If they're looking at the Michigan State tape, I think that Arizona State kind of level is probably where he would fall into. If they're looking at the recruiting, what he was coming out as a recruit, I feel like he could get like a higher caliber or higher pedigree school wise. I'm trying to think of the schools that need quarterbacks. What's that?
He was committed to Boise State.
Yeah. But
So
that
I
coaching
think
staff is gone.
Yeah. My gut says he's going back to the West Coast. Maybe something like San Diego State. They're bringing in a new coach. Might be time for a new quarterback. I think Arizona State is as good as a bet to make too. But
Okay.
I'll go with San Diego State.
Oregon State would be funny there too.
Yeah.
My guess, actually, is because he was recruited by Oregon State heavily, apparently. My guess is that for one more year, he will be at Michigan State University,
Wow.
competing,
Okay.
developing, and maybe backing up. And who knows, maybe he'll win the job against Aidan. Who knows?
All right.
And last but not least, John Noah Kim.
Oh dear Lord. Grand Valley.
This has got like Rocky Lombardi Mac. It's I think like Northern Illinois.
Marshall.
I am going to
Old
say.
Dominion. Yeah.
I am going to say. I bet he goes lower Power 5. I think he goes to his home state, UVA.
Okay.
That's,
I could see that. He was recruited by Virginia Tech, some
Yeah.
of Richmond, some of those
Yeah.
Virginia schools.
I would say G5 somewhere over there, but
Yeah.
I consider UVA basically G5. So.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
ACC.
like I said after Grand Valley, Marshall, Old Dominion, something like that. Liberty.
Christian.
Yeah.
Well, Liberty's gonna
interesting.
take
They've got
Salter, but
Salter,
yeah.
But he'll find success at a MAC school. I think one of like a G5
There you go.
school.
Bowling Green.
He's athletic enough. Like he's actually not a bad runner. His arm is not the strongest, but like he could the deep balls. I thought he was kind of not terrible. I mean, the one against Iowa that always sticks out. The interception was really bad, but Central he made some nice passes.
Richmond
deep.
was
Yeah,
great. Grand Valley, Northwood.
Yeah. I think he could do better than that. I think he will have like a Rocky Lombardi type. Like he'll find success at a G5 school.
Ball State, maybe.
Yeah, something like that. Ball State,
Even the city.
Toledo, Northern Illinois, something like one of those MAC schools.
I love Northern Illinois. I would love it if he just took up the reins.
Yes, I mean they might go back to the well.
It's a good well for them to go to. All right, so that's that. That's the QBs. I guess next let's do a little college football playoff. What is your gut reaction? What are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I think obviously a lot to talk about here. A little close to home for me. with Florida State. My fiance being a Florida State grad. I'll preface by saying I don't think they picked the best four teams, because if they picked the best four teams, I think Georgia would be in. And they certainly didn't pick the four most deserving teams, because if it was the four most deserving teams, Florida State would be in, and I'll touch on that. Having said that, I think they picked the right four teams. It's tough, obviously, for me to say that, Florida State against any of those teams would have been favored in those games on a neutral site. And having that 4 seed was going to have to play Michigan. I'm glad that Michigan doesn't get a free pass into the finals by playing Florida State. It's a shame what happened to Florida State, and I really do have an issue with what the committee did. Really breaking the mold on undefeated Power 5 conference champion. And I just don't like the way it all went down, because they moved Florida State out of the top 4 after the injury. They were number 5. And then they went and beat Florida with the backup, and they moved them back in and put them at number 4. And then they went and beat a top 15 team with the third string quarterback, and they somehow got jumped. So I think if you were always going to have them get jumped, or if you were trending towards having them not in, you should have ranked them outside the top 4 to begin with, because now I don't know how you can truly say, like, you move them, they were a playoff team, and then they beat a top 15 team with a third string quarterback, and now you're saying they're not a playoff team anymore, when they didn't deserve to get jumped. I mean, I do think Alabama's a better team, and that was a very impressive win, but the whole thing reeks of SEC bias and ESPN and everything. Again, I'm not that upset, because Michigan has to play Alabama now, and I do think Alabama is a deserving team, but I think the committee is a big ball of bad. It's so stupid what they do and how they do it. We were talking about guys that don't really know. They're not football coaches, most of them. They're athletic directors, or executives, or whatever it may be. But is Alabama a better team than Florida State? Yeah. So I'm like torn, like a 50-50. I don't like what they did and how they did it, but at the same time, that Alabama team is playing really well right now. SEC champs is nothing to scoff at either. But it's tough for me to say, Alabama was at 8, Florida State was at 4. Both of them beat ranked teams. Why does Florida State, if this happened to Michigan State, I would be livid. I would be so furious. I would be shaking everyone I walked by on the street, explaining to them what was going on and what a travesty it was. I'd be looking up college football playoff committees' homes. I would be so angry. So I totally think Florida State has every reason to be angry. And you know what? Like, they made Jordan Travis sound like he was the most important player in the country. He should win the Heisman.
Yeah.
Like, seriously. And like, they were fine with Rodemaker at quarterback. They beat Florida on the road. And he would have been healthy by the time the playoffs came around. Florida State should have been able to decide when their season ends, not a committee of however many people there are. They did everything they had to do, everything that was asked of them. They played a tough non-conference schedule. They beat 2 SEC teams. They were undefeated. They faced a lot of adversity, and everything that they had to do, they did. And I don't agree with leaving them out. But, at the same time, it's hard to argue that, Alabama's any worse than Florida State, for sure.
If only there was a team they could have taken out due to ruining the integrity of the game.
Yeah, seriously.
If only there was a team that didn't really deserve it, that's right in front of your face.
Right.
God, it's like, interesting.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Vess?
Yeah, so I mean, I mostly agree with what Winston's saying on the Florida State front. It sets a very poor precedent that luckily with the 12-team playoff, we're not really going to have to see play out again, at least to that extent. But I do think that given the circumstances, they got it right. They put the right teams in there. It's hard to ignore a one-loss SEC champ in any season, especially when you go undefeated in conference play. I do think that Georgia is probably one of the best 4 teams in America, and it sucks that they got left out. But you got to win the games. Right?
Agreed.
The
I
big one.
totally agree. I don't think you should be able to lose the most important game of your season and still be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what happened with TCU last year too.
Right.
They got in, lost the conference championship. But having said all that, watching Florida State this past couple of weeks, especially on Saturday, like their defense was fantastic on Saturday.
Fantastic,
But,
yeah.
Like watching the way they've played on offense this past couple of weeks, though, like I never want to say that like the Travis injury or any injury should be the sole reason that they're left out of the playoff or anything. But they're clearly not one of the best 4 teams in terms of being able to compete with the rest of the teams in the field. And as State fans, we should be a little bit thankful that Michigan doesn't get the cakewalk into the national championship, especially, you see that video of them reacting to Alabama getting the spot.
Yeah,
I think that
great.
says it all. That says it all. Like they were given the team that they don't want to play. So that alone tells me that the committee got it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is funny that like there are more Michigan fans who are mad about Florida State getting in than Florida State fans, it feels like.
Yeah.
Because everyone's talking about the sanctity of college football playoffs. Just like, guys, look in the freaking mirror. Mirror the wall. Who's the douchiest of them all? It's you.
Well,
No,
the committee in this situation was kind of put in the spot where they have to basically what they've been telling us for these past 10 years is it's the best teams, not the most deserving teams, which is what they did, and give them credit to sticking to that. But at the same time, are those really the 4 best teams? Like, I mean, this goes along with your point of Georgia. Like, I think I kind of beating a dead horse here because I've already kind of said this, but if Georgia wins that SEC championship, the debate's not even here.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. If Georgia would have won, so it would have been Georgia, Michigan, Washington. Do you think it would be FSU, or do you think they would put Texas in ahead?
That's a completely different debate. Yeah.
I think they would have had their SEC team, and they would have put in Florida State.
Yeah.
That's my guess. I obviously have no idea, but
agree. Yeah. Also, it's complete cop out. Like, could be a conspiracy so that it was all rigged, so that they can say, "See, this is why we need the 12 team."
True. Yeah. True. I mean,
really gives them the instant example. This is why we need 12 teams.
Yeah.
And you can say, as we were saying last week, like, oh, but then we'll have the same argument about the 12th best team. But like, the 12th best team is not winning the national championship.
Yeah, probably not.
Well, on that note, the 12 team playoff is going to have a group of 5 team in there.
Yeah.
I mean, Liberty's ranked so much lower, with all the stats and everything. How did they get the group of 5 spot over SMU?
I know that. I saw that.
That's ridiculous.
It's too bad. SMU, that was a great win they had over Liberty, or not Liberty, Tulane too. That was a great win.
Backup quarterback, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the whole thing, I think
criminals.
Last week I was kind of like lukewarm on the whole 12 team thing. Now I'm like, that will never happen again. This won't happen again with that. So I'm all in on it. But I also think the college football playoff from the get-go was so stupid to only be 4 teams. You have 5 power conferences. Like, you're setting this up to this to happen. It's crazy that it's really only happened once, like where they really like someone was going to get screwed.
Yeah. This
year more than any other year, someone, whether it was Texas, Florida State, or Alabama, someone was getting screwed, or Georgia. You can even throw Georgia in. Like, someone was going to get screwed. I just, the worm turned, it ended up being Florida State, but you to the thought that you would have 4 spots for a sport that has 5 Power 5 conferences is ridiculous. Like, it's crazy that they've skated by without having to deal with this before. I just to go back to the Florida State really quick. This is going to sound like like the mushy soft part of me. I feel so bad for those Florida State players. Like they did everything they had to do, and they just don't get to compete. A committee of old men athletic directors basically said, we think this team is better, so we're going to play God and put them in instead. Like if the Kansas City Chiefs, if Patrick Mahomes got hurt and they were the 1 seed and he got hurt before the game before the Super Bowl, and they still won, the NFL wouldn't say you're not playing in the Super Bowl. So it's a little ridiculous from that aspect. Yeah. But, I also get this is why we have the committee. So, that they can do things like this and we don't have to rely on stupid computers, crunching numbers. But the whole thing is like, if you're just doing it so like people can watch the best games and have the best TV, like that's just stupid to me. Like Florida State should have had a chance to play for the championship, in my opinion. But
do you imagine
at the same time, I'm not going to complain.
An undefeated MSU getting left out for like a 12-1 MSU.
I was telling Trav, I would be apoplectic. There would be no roof on my apartment. Someone would be in serious trouble.
I cannot even imagine my just pure rage.
Yes. I'm getting worked up just thinking about it.
Yeah. I would be getting evicted right now if that was the case.
I would be just. I would never get over it, and I would be screaming at everybody about it.
That would like actually really affect my life for the worse. Things wouldn't be the same after that moment. We got left, a 13-0 MSU got left out of the college football playoffs. It's like when we got left out of the Sugar Bowl. Like this is like a million times less big of a deal. But like
makes sense.
I was livid.
Yeah.
Oof.
It's just so it sucks.
It's getting me hot.
Yeah. It's oh my gosh. I can't even imagine that happening. But
you know what? I have an idea. Let's just cue the music.
Cue the music. Okay. Let me get pulled up. Threw some surprise games in there for you guys too. Really bad week for me last week. I went 3-6. Nick, you went 5-4. Travis, you went 6-3. So Travis extends his lead over Nick, and I think it's opened up wide enough now where I'm pretty much out of it. Nick, I think you're like 3 games back of Travis.
I think so.
But we've got a couple college games this week. Threw in a couple surprise games for you there, but it'll be a heavy NFL week. So with that, we'll cue the music. The first game is a college game. One of my favorites of the year. The Army-Navy game. The Army Black Knights against the Navy midshipmen. Lots of runs, lots of punts. Just the best way to watch football. Army is favored by 3. Travis.
Yeah, I'll go Army. I saw Navy play just a couple weeks ago in person. It was not impressive. They gave up almost 60 points, if I remember correctly.
Wow. Are they still running like triple option like they were before with the new coach, or is it different?
It's a little different, but kind of the same type of thing. They didn't throw the ball very often.
Okay.
Ran a couple different quarterbacks, but they had all kinds of trouble moving the ball down the field against us.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I believe that was a 59-14 final.
Okay.
Around there. So,
wow, that's big. Yeah, that's big. All right, Nikki.
Army, Black Knights, baby.
Army. All right, I am against a better judgment. I'm going to go with Navy. I usually root for Navy in this game, so I'm going to go with Navy. Okay, flurry of NFL games coming at you. I am so bad at betting on the NFL, so my 3-6 record is probably not going to look much different next week. First game, Texans, -3.5, traveling to the Meadowlands in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Obviously, it's not the Meadowlands, MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey, to take on the New York Football Jets, our boy Mikey Messmer's favorite team. The Texans are favored by 3.5 on the road. I think Zach Wilson's starting.
I believe that's the case.
Yes, and they cut Tim Boyle. The Jets struggled recently. The way the Texans have played this year, surpassing all expectations.
Yeah, I'll do Houston as well.
I am
Oh no,
going
Jets,
to.
I'm going Mikey. I'm going Jets.
Okay, I'm going to take the home dog as well. CJ Stroud has been so impressive. But rookie quarterback, Jets defense. I'll take the home dog, I think, there. This next one, Jimmy Lake, potential Michigan State defensive coordinator is involved here. The Los Angeles Rams are traveling to Baltimore to take on the Ravens, led by Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh. Ravens are favored at home by 7.5. Touchdown and a hook.
Yeah, I'll go Baltimore. I just think they're that much better than the Rams.
All right.
Ravens are a juggernaut. Body more.
Especially after what they did to us.
Yeah, they are everything. They look like the real deal. I am going to take the points here, though. I'll take the Rams. Next one here, NFC North foe, the Minnesota Vikings. Purple People Eaters traveling to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. The Vikings are favored by 3.
Yeah. Raiders, why the hell not? Probably a bad call, but who cares?
I think Jefferson's back. I'm going to go Josh Dobbs and the Minnesota Vikings. He is starting, right?
I believe so.
I believe they said they could make them
All right, I am going to go with the Vikings as well, just because I never get what I want when it comes to sports. So I'm going to pick the Vikings because I know that I want them to lose, but they won't. All right, big one in the Bay Area of California, the Seattle Seahawks coming in as big underdogs against the vaunted 49ers of San Francisco. 49ers are favored by 10.5.
I'll go with the points on that one. Seattle.
Go with the points.
Same.
All right.
Seahawks.
So both taking the Seahawks. Yeah, big line for an NFL game. 49ers are rolling. This is tough. I'm going to take the Seahawks as well. That's a lot of points.
That's a lot.
I'll take Pete Carroll there to cover. Another big one in the NFC East, the Philadelphia Eagles coming off a tough loss to the 49ers. Travel to your guys' backyard to take on the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys are favored by 3.5.
I mean, the Cowboys have not lost at home, and they put up a lot of points. So I am going to go with that.
Cowboys?
Like Willie said earlier, this is another case of I don't get what I want, so I'm going to have the Eagles winning. Or and covering as well.
Oh, boy. I do not know. How about them? I'll go with the Cowboys. How about them Cowboys?
Our first place in the division, too.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Johnny.
Yeah, I feel like the Cowboys always lose big games, but I'll go with the Cowboys.
They haven't lost at home this year.
Yeah, that's true. All right, another good one here. Rematch of the AFC Championship a couple of years ago, in that memorable back and forth game there at the last minute. The Bills travel to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. Chiefs are favored by 1.5 as of today.
Yeah, I'll take Kansas City. That Buffalo offense hasn't been that good this year. Buffalo was in general struggling more than you would think they would.
Yeah. Mickey?
Buffalo.
Okay.
Interesting.
I will go with the Chiefs to bounce back. I think that Buffalo's not great. That window is closing quickly. Chiefs are going to bounce back there. All right. Another one close to home for the boys. The Packers traveling to New York as well. Better make sure the Texans... Maybe this is a Monday night game? I better make sure. Whatever. Either way, Packers against the Giants. Packers are favored by 6.5.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of faith in the Giants these days. Unfortunately, much of the same thing.
You know what? Let's be positive. I think the Giants pull it off.
Nice, Nikki. I like that. I'm going to go with... the Packers are playing good football right now. I'm going to go with the Packers. That's the Monday night game, so confirmed. Jets and Giants are both home this week. I will go with the Packers. Okay. Obviously, get one here for the boys. The Lions travel to Soldier Field to take on Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears. Played them a couple weeks ago. Very close game. Lions had to pull one out of their hat last minute drive. The Lions are favored on the road here. Favored by 3.5.
Yeah, Lions have been struggling a little bit lately.
Yeah.
That's the first game that Chicago was not pretty. You guys that lose that one. However, it is Chicago and fuck the Bears. I'll take the Lions. That's all right.
Jared Goff, cold weather in Chicago, December. Lions have been seriously struggling. We're down the field.
All right. I can't bring myself to bet against the Lions here. I'll bet on the Lions too. All right. Threw these in for some fun. I know next to nothing about any of these teams. I'm assuming it will be the same for you two. We're going to the FCS playoffs. There are, I believe they're in the quarterfinals. So there's 8 teams left, right? Yeah, 8 teams left. The first one is Furman at Montana. Montana is favored by 17.
Okay, what?
That's a big line. But it is a school from the south going up to Montana. So, Grizzlies. Montana.
I don't know. I don't know who's the Grizzlies.
Montana.
I'll go Furman.
I am going to go Furman as well. I don't know enough to go. I know it seems like Montana's always in this discussion, but 17 points is a lot for a playoff game. The next one, Villanova basketball school, travels to South Dakota State to take on the Jackrabbits. South Dakota State is favored by 20. Another big spread.
Ugh, yeah, I don't like this. All ready to pull out a Zach Zenner South Dakota State thing here, but we're gonna go. Yeah, I'll go Nova with that spread.
Vegas knows. Jackrabbits.
I'm going to go with South Dakota as well. Lay it on. Lay it on the Nova boys at home. Okay. This school you may actually have watched before. North Dakota State travels to South Dakota. The North Dakota State Bison are favored by 6.5.
Yeah, Bison. See if they can make their way back to Frisco this year.
Bison, baby.
All right, I'm going to take the Bison as well. Okay, the last FCS game here, University of Albany traveling to Idaho. Idaho Vandals, I believe. I think they play in an indoor dome. Idaho is favored by 4.
And Albany's the Great Danes, by the way.
Oh, okay, there you go. Nice, good pull.
I'm gonna go Idaho. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the Great Danes.
All right, I'm gonna go with Idaho. That is it for the Week 15 picks. We'll see how everything goes, but keep an eye on those FCS games.
Yeah. All right. So that this week's Savants. Good show. You know the drill. Subscribe, watch, give it to a friend. We're on everywhere you find podcasts here. Sorry we had to start off
free too.
Paid Macon to do listen. Come on, man, you gotta play better. AJ, love you, brother. You gotta play a little better. Tyson, keep doing what you're doing. Keep cooking. Chiles, we'll show you the ropes. So shoot me a text. This is Nick. This is Travis. This is Willie. Go green.
Go white.
I want my baby back, baby back, baby back. I want my baby back, baby back, baby back. I want my baby back. Chili's. I want my baby back ribs. I want my baby. Chili's baby back ribs.
Barbecue sauce.
I want my baby. Chili's. I want my baby back ribs. I want my baby. Chili's baby back ribs.
Barbecue sauce.
I want my baby back, baby back, baby back. I want my baby back.